Well, there was I, Guy, thinking yesterday that there wasn't going to be much news that we could cover.
No.
Because it's all international issues, isn't it? And then this morning, what should happen? But Kemi Badenoch pops up at about 11 o'clock and starts talking about this huge plot that was taking place with Bobby J. You remember Bobby J? He of the stopping people at underground railway stations for not having paid their, and almost like the November the 5th plotters, there was apparently this plan for this weekend where he'd cancelled all his engagements this weekend, and he was going to announce supposedly his defection to Reform and Mr. Farage,
right?
Which is quite astonishing. Now she's got this information. I don't know whether you heard about that. This all sounds a bit carry-on politician type thing. She's got this information from his resignation speech that somebody found left on a photocopy or something. A photocopy. I mean, we're heading back towards the 70s, aren't we? Really, an old Xerox.
A bit like old Wes Streeting's thing about faxes in the NHS, isn't it?
It is a bit.
He said, we've got rid of them because there's only 3 left.
The whole thing is just preposterous, isn't it? I mean, I know you're a man of we can remember photocopiers, can't we? But where did this happen? Where was this? In the Palace of Westminster? That he's got a team, obviously, as did Guy Fawkes when he was planning to blow up the Houses of Parliament. And supposedly his team left this, but wouldn't you think that they could have afforded a photocopier that would have been in a private location, or do they have to share photocopiers, do you think?
Well, you need to be up to date with photocopier security, Sean. So if I could help here. So the biggest problem with photocopy security is when the thing's buggered up. So you keep pressing print and it doesn't print, and you think, oh, sod it. And it's either the ink's run out, the papers, or the thing's jammed up. So you forget about it, go and do something else. Along comes that one person in the office. There's always one person who says, I'll fix it. Rolls their sleeves up, normally bald, rolls their sleeves up, sorts it out. And then all of a sudden, this machine just spews up. And there's been, right, it's a load of rubbish. And then, in this case, there's probably 8 copies of his resignation.
Share them around.
Exactly. So they didn't even have to photocopy the photocopy. So that's my theory. But the way, the last time, not the last time, but one office I worked in was they worked this one out. And before you could print something, you had to go up to the photocopier with your pass card. But they obviously didn't have that system.
They did. No. It sounds as though they got some cheap old photocopier that they bought secondhand at Tandy or what have you.
So do we believe it, first of all? Do we believe he was plotting? Are we taking that at face value?
Well, there's lots of ifs, buts and maybes here, isn't there? Because Mr. Farage apparently was caught off guard and he didn't know anything about it.
We've been quite rude about him in the past.
Well, he has been quite rude about him in the past. Yeah, absolutely. But apparently they've had dinner together. You know, the old secret dinners they do. All the press is, they've had dinner together over the last week. A dinner with Mr. Farage, I should imagine, would be quite good. You imagine the old Beaujolais set up and the top gentleman's club. I can't imagine Farage takes people down the wimpy.
Nor Genrick.
Not Genrick, no. So they've had a candlelit dinner.
Yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it? Because he calls him a liar, a scoundrel, and a fraud. Oh,
yeah.
Brawl cocktail.
I think that's quite. I mean, what Badenoch said this morning was that there was a near, and this is an interesting phrase, isn't it? A near final resignation speech after it was left lying around. So it's not even finished yet. So presumably it's got all these editing marks all over it as to, I can't put that in.
Well, if you look on the bright side, you haven't got to worry about doing that now, have you?
No.
Yeah, that pressure's gone if you're Mr. Genrick, but I bet he's furious, isn't he?
I should imagine so. Well, she's supposedly had this information since last week and has saved it because today was the day where Mr. Farage was going to, or did announce the new leader of reform in Scotland. And she had her press conference thing online at exactly the moment that he announced his leader in Scotland, which was well planned. But as I say, Genrick was meant to be having a speaking engagement this weekend, and that was cancelled, and that was supposedly so he could announce his defection within the next 24 hours. That's what we're being told on one side of the coin, but on the other side of the coin, I was just saying he didn't know anything about this. He was totally unaware. Of course, everybody's making hay. I mean, do you remember Zia Yusuf? Do you remember the guy who left Reform for 2 days and then came back again?
Yeah, the guy who's yes, I know the guy who's he's quite good on his feet, isn't he?
Yeah, he's head of policy at Reform.
Yeah,
he was the one that didn't like Mr. Farage for, it was all too much for him for a couple of days, and then he came back in again. Well, he's called it hilarious, and he said that. I want to read you what he said. Kemi begins the brutal purge of those most likely to challenge her in May, post the electoral wipeout. Subsequent to that, he's also tagged James Cleverly. Have you heard about this? James Cleverly has put on one of the social media sites that saying, "Keep your phone on. These are the last days of Rome," which doesn't bode well for his future in the shadow.
Well, do you think that's anything to do? Should we just flip to this opinion poll that you shared with me? Electoral calculus, to give the credit where it belongs. They've done one of these. It sounds like I know what I'm talking about, by a multi-level regressioning and post-stratification poll.
You don't know about those, Guy?
It sounds very good to me. But apparently...
Isn't that where they ask people questions on an escalator? Multi-level, going up. Sorry, go on.
Thank you, Sean. Very helpful. But two of the Conservative MPs who've been highlighted as will most probably lose their seat from this poll are Mel Stride and James Cleverly.
Oh, crikey. Big hitters.
Most prominent. Yeah, there's others, but they're the most prominent. So maybe that's why Mr. Cleverly started writing things. But we should say, so if you don't mind, because this all feeds into this poll has, predicting the next election, that has Reform at 31% of the vote, 335 seats, and a 20-seat majority.
Crikey.
Staggeringly, Conservatives second at 92, Lib Dems at 60, and you're saying, where's Labour? Greens at 52, SNP at 44, Labour at 41.
Crikey.
Imagine that.
It's quite a significant change, isn't it? And, it does broaden out the fact that it's no longer a two-party race by any stretch of the imagination. There's all these. If that comes to pass, I was reading a piece this morning that was saying this time last year the Conservatives were polling higher than Reform. Only 12 months ago, they made this difference. And it just seems such a long while that Reform have been up in these high numbers, doesn't it? But it's not. He's made, and he's not really done anything, because in the last year he's commented on things, but there's been no. He's just sitting back and watching the others implode.
Well, it's the equivalent of what was it? They'll have to bring the Ming vase out again. This was the strategy of Starmer, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the Ming vase.
Yeah,
he really doesn't have to do very much if you believe all this stuff.
No.
And now I should add that majority factors in tactical voting, so it's not like you can say, but people are going to vote tactical.
No,
because if they didn't, his 335 seats becomes 398. You'd have an even bigger majority.
Yeah.
So it's an opinion poll. A lot can happen in 3 years, is it?
Yeah. But I mean, what events steer boy events, as Macmillan said, but 3 years, they've got to do something quite significant to be able to wreck that. I mean, the conversation this morning regarding what's happened with Jenrick, some commentators were saying, are we getting to the point where Reform is becoming the Conservative Party Mark II? Because there have been so many defections, there's so many. The big names are now going across. Are the electorate going to say, well, why should I vote for this slot? Because it's only the same as the last slot.
Yeah, I actually think where the electorate are now, as in January 26, is it's a fed upness.
Yeah.
With just and it's a bit like the last election. It's someone's got to be better than the other lot.
Yeah.
And because the other lot have only just been the Tories, then the other lot is now Labour, so it's almost a natural thing. But all Farage has got to talk about, isn't it, is Benefit Street, taxes and immigration. And
well, that's his big advantage in terms of government, and he's got no record that he has to defend, has he?
No, exactly.
They've not done anything. They're keeping their powder dry, and as you quite rightly say, all they're doing is sniping effectively from the sideline, because they haven't come up. We discussed this, didn't we, at the last election? They haven't come up with any tangible solutions to any of these problems, really.
Not really. Not really.
You know,
Yeah, obviously they've had a go at immigration, and they've dialed down their fiscal ambitions. No big tax cuts anymore.
but you've only got to dig just below the surface. Even with the immigration thing, they're talking about people will be returned to France. I mean, it's just impractical, isn't it? It's just not
Not going to happen, is it?
Not going to happen. And as you quite rightly said, with the big sell to the working man and woman in the street was that they were going to raise personal allowances to 20%, wasn't it? Oh, not 20,000, not 20%.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
But that's not going to happen. They've accepted that's not going to happen. So what is it that they've got to offer other than to say, as you quite rightly say, we're different to the others? That's all really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's yeah.
And their big issue will be, although the likes of Generic and a few others have gone over, but their big issue will be bench strength, won't it? And will the electorate who care about these things, because a lot of people are disengaged with politics but will still vote, will they look at the cabinet elect and say, not sure about this? When your defence secretary is some sort of 21-year-old who was in the army cadets for a week.
Well, I suppose that's why these big names going across from the Tories is going to help them. Just before we wind this one up.
Yes, sorry, we should do.
No, three sort of big questions.
Yeah.
What does it mean for Kemi and the Tories? My view on this, there's three options, not options, but three. Either she could reset completely and move the party back more towards the centre, which I don't see happening. She could, as they're suggesting, face annihilation after the May elections. That could be a really dangerous time for her. There could be a massive exodus of Generic supporters from the party, because there's quite a lot on that wing of the party.
Yeah, he's their favourite. Yeah.
Well, there could just be this gradual drip, bit by bit. They death by
her strategists, if she's got any left. They mustn't waste a good crisis, and obviously this video that's gone out is her trying to show how kind of on the case she is and taking the hard decisions. So in the short term, I think that's what she's got to do, and that actually ironically might help her a little bit. And
reform is going to be quite interesting, isn't it? Sorry to interrupt. Reform is going to be quite interesting because up to now, Farage has been Billy Big Bollocks, hasn't he, in terms of, and no longer, this guy's quite a big name, Generic. Now, how is he going to perform? How are they going to get along? Because Generic's, I think Matthew Parris was saying this morning, you take away his ambition, he collapses like a boneless chicken. And that's, if he's going across to reform, which we shall find out. I think they're talking about Farage is holding a press conference at 4:30.
Which is
ostensibly was for something else, but they'll fly him in, I would think. Yeah.
Well, perhaps the title of that conference should be "The Ego Has Landed."